I never believed in ghosts, demons, or the supernatural, until I spent a night in that cursed cabin deep in the Appalachian Mountains. The things I saw, the things I heard, they still haunt me to this day. If you're reading this, take my warning seriously. Never go there. It all started when my friends and I planned a weekend getaway. We were a group of 5. Jason, Megan, Derek, Lisa, and me. We were all in our late 20s, thrill seekers who loved exploring abandoned places. Megan found the listing for the cabin online. It was ridiculously cheap, almost suspiciously so. The ad described it as a rustic retreat, perfect for adventurers. Looking back, that should have been the first red flag. We arrived at the cabin late in the afternoon. The drive through the dense forest was eerie. The road was barely a road, just a dirt path covered with fallen leaves. The deeper we went, the more uneasy I felt. The trees loomed over us, their twisted branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The cabin itself was ancient, made of dark, rotting wood. It looked abandoned, despite the listing saying it was maintained. The front door creaked open with a touch, and inside the air was thick with dust and something else. A faint, metallic smell that made my stomach turn. That night, everything changed. We lit a fire in the stone fireplace, played some music, and opened a few beers. The atmosphere lightened, and for a while I almost forgot the nagging sense of dread that had settled in my gut. But then, the noises started. At first, they were subtle. Soft, rustling sounds outside, like something moving through the leaves. Jason dismissed it as the wind, but there was no wind that night. Then came the tapping. Slow, rhythmic knocks against the wooden walls. Lisa laughed nervously, saying it was probably just an animal. But I saw the look in her eyes. She was scared too. Then Derek's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and went pale. No service, right? He said, showing us the phone. The screen displayed a message. Why did you come here? Megan shivered. That's not funny, Derek. I didn't send this, he protested. Look, it's from an unknown number. I checked my phone. No signal at all. The message couldn't have come through. That's when the knocking grew louder, more insistent, like something wanted in. Jason, always the brave one, grabbed a flashlight and opened the front door. I'll prove it's nothing, he said and stepped outside. The light from his flashlight swept across the trees. That's when we saw it. A figure stood at the edge of the tree line, a tall, gaunt silhouette with elongated limbs. It didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there, watching. Jason stumbled back inside and bolted the door. Did you see that? Did you fucking see that? Megan was shaking. What the hell was that? A person? No, Lisa whispered. It wasn't human. The knocking resumed, harder this time. Then, scratching. Long, deep scratches against the wooden walls circling the cabin. We huddled together, too terrified to move. Jason had a hunting knife, but we all knew it wouldn't be enough. The scratching turned into pounding. The walls shuddered as if something massive was trying to break in. And then, the whispering started. Soft, incoherent murmurs filled the cabin. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was inside the walls, in the floor, in our heads. Derek clutched his ears. Make it stop. Make it stop. Then Megan screamed. We turned to see her staring at the window. The face was there. Pale, eyeless, its mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. A thin, bony hand pressed against the glass. We ran. There was no plan, no thought, just pure terror. We bolted out the back door into the freezing night, sprinting blindly through the dark forest. I could hear Lisa sobbing, Jason cursing, Derek gasping for breath. Then Megan tripped. I turned back, saw her lying there, eyes wide with terror. The thing stood over her. It bent down, its grin widening, and whispered something in her ear. She screamed. Jason and I grabbed her and dragged her to the car. We piled in, locking the doors. The engine roared to life, and we sped away, dirt flying behind us. We didn't stop driving until we reached civilization. No one spoke. Megan was in shock, her face deathly pale, eyes vacant. She never told us what the thing whispered to her. Days later, we all started having the same nightmares. Dark woods, whispering voices, the face in the window. Megan disappeared 2 weeks later, vanished without a trace. Her apartment was found empty, the only clue a single word scratched into the wall. Come back. None of us ever returned to that cursed cabin. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I still hear the whispers.